Coming up on Network Africa. Oscar Pistorius released hours earlier than scheduled. His family of River Steenkamp allege easy treatment. Police fire gunshots at protesters in Congo's capital Brazzaville as they march against President Nguezo's third-term bid. Nigeria striker Emmanuel Emedike quits national team as the Super Eagles saga continues. Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I am Adeshawa Josh. His release is coming a day early, but Oscar Pistorius has bidden bye-bye to the four walls of his jail room, which was home for nearly a year after the court sentenced him to 5 years in prison for killing his girlfriend, River Steenkamp. The Olympic and Paralympic medalist has been released on correctional supervision hours earlier than expected. Speaking to the media outside his uncle's home in Pretoria this morning, the Pistorius family spokesperson, Annalise Burgers, says Oscar is well but will not give details of his parole conditions. The Steenkamps are expectedly unhappy, but speaking days earlier through their spokesperson, they said whether Oscar is in or out of prison, River will never come back home. Our correspondent Betty Dibia was at the Pistorius residence in Pretoria this morning and now reports.
Hosmampuru, the second correctional center, local management has informed us that they placed Oscar Pistorius under correctional supervision. They took him out of the facility to his uncle's house last night after 7:30. The responsibility of handling and implementing the actual placement is the prerogative and the responsibility of the local management. And I believe that they do that as a principle in the department after having considered both the concerns of all the affected people and the interests of the department. In this instance, I'm talking about the victims of the offense, the offender and their legal representatives, as well as the Department of Correctional Services.
We apologize for the technical glitch in the earlier report, but we would have Betty Dibia for us live from Joburg to give us the latest on the proceedings at the court. But let me take you quickly through the few parole conditions for Oscar Pistorius as he is now under house arrest, well, released under house arrest. Now, he would have no access to firearms, no taking of drugs or alcohol, and can be randomly tested by officials if they suspect anything. It will continue with the psychotherapy sessions. He won't be going out at night. He can work but will not be electronically tagged. Betty Dibia joins us live now from Johannesburg. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa.
Thank you.
As you can see, we're going to have to get all the details of what happened in court because somehow we couldn't play your report. So tell us, you were one of the few people who had access to the coverage of that proceedings. What really happened there?
I guess the correctional services stole the thunder from the journalists who had been preparing to cover this. They released him hours earlier than expected. Even according to the family members, they were a bit surprised that this happened much earlier than expected. But He got home last night. He slept at home, his uncle's house at Waterkloof in Pretoria. So he's a freer man, not a free man, but a freer man than he was early yesterday.
Okay, I mean, are there any tenable explanations for why Oscar was released hours earlier than scheduled? We're hearing he is in a poor physical condition. Of course, that's different from what the spokesperson of the family is saying, that he's well. Could this be the reason, or is there more?
As you said, Annalise Burgess said he's well. She wouldn't go into details, but you know the media frenzy that has followed this case from day one, when the incident happened and throughout the court case. I guess it would have been quite hectic if he was released as expected during the day, because so many international media, especially, they were there to cover this, but it already happened. So I guess they were trying to avoid, the circus that has followed the case all along, to make it a lot easier, because releasing from the prison, he would have to go to what they call the Poynton building, where you have the correctional services at justice offices, to be processed for his release, all the paperwork and everything, and assign the parole officer and all that. All that was done away from public eye, from the media eye, as the correctional services said, to avoid a staged release. So this happened much smoother for them. Of course, that's for the show, for the media, but it made it much smoother for them. But that's just it. It was 2 days shy of 1 year, but legally he already spent the required 1/6 of his sentence in custody, custodial sentence, and now no law was broken for him to be out if he's already fulfilled all the requirements to be released on correctional supervision.
Right. And we also understand that Reeva Steenkamp's family are not unexpectedly dissatisfied with the ruling by the court. What were their reactions to the judgment?
It wasn't a court ruling. It wasn't a judgment. The judgment we already had last year.
Yeah.
But it was the parole board that decided. Okay. After the parole review board referred the issue back to the parole board, they decided to release him. They didn't see any reason why. The family, of course, they're disappointed, but they said whether he's in or out, it's not going to bring the dead back. It would not bring, Reeva would never be coming back home. But part of the requirements of the parole, or any parole, the aggrieved family is usually informed. Sometimes they give their consent, like, okay, there's nothing we can do, but do go ahead, but they inform them. And he's expected to meet them if they wish to meet him, to just speak with them, if and when they desire to do so. We don't know if they're going to do so, but probably for them to get closer, they may get a chance again they may want to take the opportunity to ask him what actually happened and decide to just get closure from that. But to them, whether he's in custody or out, they believe it's unfair, but whether he's in or out, their daughter will never be coming home.
Well, there are also a few parole conditions attached to Oscar's release on house arrest. Well, what are the punishments if he breaks any of these rules? We understand he will not be electronically tagged, but his yes, movements will be restricted.
He won't be electronically tagged, but he will be monitored, strictly monitored by the authorities as well as the public, because everybody will be watching to see. If he's going for a job, people are watching. If he goes for a party, people are watching. And then it depends on the parole board if he goes against any of the conditions. So I guess it's on case-by-case basis. Some people have had to lose their freedom when they defy the conditions given to them. But in his own case, it depends on what the parole board decides. But as the family said, they're going to go strictly by those conditions because everybody's watching.
That's it. Everyone is watching, and that makes this particular case very peculiar. Thank you so much, Betty Divya, there for us from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Thank you.
Let's take a short break on Network Africa, and when we come back, Ghana resolves gas debt crisis with Nigeria as the government promises to pay up by February 2016.